Now, the spokesperson of the Labour Party Presidential Campaign Council has disclosed that the party is not considering a merger with other political parties. Speaking during an interview, Yunusa Tanko on Monday said the Labour Party is not ruling out a working alliance with other political parties. A report this week had claimed that Atiku Abubakar of the People's Democratic Party, Rabiu Kwankwaso of the New Nigeria People's Party, and Obi had begun discussions on the possibility of a merger. Now, joining us on VOP this morning in the studio to talk in depth on this is Olawale Olatubi, a medical doctor and a social affairs commentator. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to VOP this morning.
Thank you very much.
And joining us virtually as well is Chukwuma Okoro. He is also a public affairs analyst and a political enthusiast. Good morning, Mr. Chukwuma Okoro.
Good morning, Esther. Moses, good morning, Wale.
Please unmute your mic so we can hear your response. Okay, Dr. Olatubi, it is interesting. Almost for the past 3 days, we've been hearing several reports on the Labour Party merging with the New Nigeria People's Party and the PDP. Now, if this merger was going to take place, it would have occurred possibly before the campaign took off. We do know that one of the reasons why Peter Obi left the PDP was because he was not comfortable with the way things were ongoing there and then joined the Labour Party. Yunusa Tanko has said there is no merger, but there is a possibility of an alliance. What do you think that will portend for the Labour Party?
You know, talking about merger now, it should have been since before the starting of the election. Why they are just talking about merging now is because they have a common enemy, which is APC. So when you have a common enemy, everybody will just have to be friends. And so talking about merger, it shouldn't be happening now because it should have been something to be discussing before now. So I don't see any reason why they should say we are merging. Merging, they came to debunk the rumor that is a rumor. But talking about having alliance, what are these guys discussing if you are not merging? So I think what they are just doing is that they have a common enemy, which is APC. So obviously they are all friends. So that's just the thing. So when 3 or 4 people are fighting one person, the 3 people will say, okay, let's strategize on how we defeat this person. So that's what I'm just seeing in this thing. So because they have a common enemy, which is the APC. So if they're merging, because they're saying, according to what they're saying the presidential candidate of APC is not eligible to run for an election. So there shouldn't be margin for, so that means they cannot contest with him again. There's going to be a rerun if they say he's not eligible to run for an election. So they should be contesting against themselves. You understand what I'm saying? Because when you say the presidential candidate of APC is not eligible to run for this thing, okay, fine. If the court rules in their favor and says there's going to be the presidential candidate of APC is being disqualified, so we are running against ourselves now. So why are we merging? Why are we discussing alliance or merger or discussing on how to defeat? So I think all of them are just being selfish, and they should just come out and talk to us on what is really happening.
All right,
Mr. Chukwuma Okoro.
Mr. Chukwuma Okoro, good morning to you once again.
Good morning, Moses.
Great. Good to have you join us on the show today.
Can you?
Yes, we can hear you.
We can hear you now.
Okay.
We can hear you now. Now, in the event of a rerun, the Labour Party, NNPP and PDP are considering coming together. What were your thoughts when you first heard about a possible merger?
When I first heard about, when I got the news, I immediately ruled out a merger because it's not possible.
Why so?
In the immediate. Yes, if you are talking of, there's a difference between a merger and an alliance. A merger means that the 3 political parties involved have to collapse their structures, go to INEC and seek for fresh registration, get registered by INEC, become a political party. Exactly what happened between ACN, CPC, and the APP. So in the immediate, I ruled out a merger because I have been centered on the possibility of a rerun or a runoff. And in that case, it will strictly be an alliance, a situation in which political parties will come together and, okay, let's see what we can do to wrest power from the hands of the APC. So let us understand that there's a difference between a merger and an alliance or a coalition of political parties. In the
All right,
okay.
having said that, the Ohanese and Igbo have come out and say that merging against the APC, merging against the current, the man at the helm of affairs now, would be satanic. That was the word that they used. And they said if Peter Obi would want to merge at all, he should, seek alliance with anybody. It should be with the man at the helm of affairs right now, the man in the eye of the needle. Yes, and he should be the one that. What do you make of that statement? It being satanic.
Moses, in the first instance, Ohanese is not a political party. They don't speak for P2B. They don't speak for Nigerians. They don't speak for the obedient movement. So clearly, for them to say that it's satanic, I will full grasp. So I cannot immediately see what they mean by saying that a merger would be satanic. In any case, I don't even see, like I said before, the possibility of an afterthought for 2027, not in the immediate. What they can do now is to start discussing that in the possibility of a rerun, not of that able to put together their forces to wrest power from the APC. So clearly, the Ohanese is not a political party, it's a socio-cultural organization, despite the fact that once in a while they try to make political statements. But clearly they don't speak for P2B, they don't speak for the obedient movement. And you see that even the obedient movement has grown beyond the personality of P2B. If Peter is trying to get into talks with the NPP or with the PDP, don't be surprised that the bulwark against that alliance or a possible coalition, that the obedient would be a very resisting force against it. In the instance that people will ask, okay, if you do a merger now and get power, on whose instance are you going to implement policies? Whose ideas? Who is the visioner? Who will be the visioner of the coalition alliance? So it's going to be a difficult call. It's going to be a very difficult call.
All right.
But I don't rule out the possibility. Politicians are always talking. Politicians talk. And things are very dynamic. Once in a while, politicians spring surprises here and there. In the interim, they might try to circle the square and cut off the rough edges. While they are following in based on their Western agreement.
All right, Ms. Olawale, apparently when this story came on, or when this information circulated, supporters of the opposition party, this time the APC, were like, apparently Labour Party seems to want to reach to the light. And they said that if the Labour Party wants to have anything to do with them, there are a couple of things they would do. There were potential talks that it is important for the Labour Party specifically to have a conversation with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. They also said that the Labour Party is afraid that maybe they already know that they're going to lose at the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. Although Peter Obi has said every form of conversation that did not come from his mouth publicly is mere speculations and rumors, nothing authenticated to that. But why would you think that now the Labour Party may want to have some alliances with the new Nigeria People's Party and the PDP? Why now?
It's been happening before the election started. They've been having talks. And the talks has been, okay, there was speculation then that, okay, probably Peter Obi wants to step down for Atiku or Kwankwaso wants to step down for Pete Atiku, but there was no concrete conclusion about that. And I feel that why this thing is happening is that for you to unseat a ruling party, you have to form a big force. That's what APC did to unroll PDP out of They formed, they merged together, they formed a big force for you to be able to. So I think what all these politicians are doing, they're just being selfish. I said earlier on.
But don't you think that it's already late? Because the Labour Party has its force, it has its support, and a couple of their supporters are saying they don't need to merge with any political party. They are confident of what the tribunal would state, and if it doesn't go in their favor, you have the apex court. So why was there not thought out plan before the campaign so that possibly maybe they may have actually won this election?
There was the plan. I'm very sure they thought about it. They talked about it, but there is no person that will say, "Okay, I want to step down."
So you're saying there was individual interests.
Individual interest. Atiku wants to run for the president because he has been running for over 3 years, and he said, "No, I won't step down. I spend a lot of money." Peter Obi was like, "No, I want to." If Peter Obi wants to step down, obedient movement they will crucify him. So Kwankwaso is like, "Okay, I'm also strong." So they're all confident and said, "Okay, yes, nobody wants to step down."
But Peter Obi, before he gained that momentum, it was when he joined the Labour Party, and they started off several interviews, and a couple of people started hearing about him. So if he had not completely joined the Labour Party, immediately he stepped out from the PDP. What if that merge had taken place then?
You see, Peter Obi had gotten his momentum even before he got Labour Party. While he was the vice presidential candidate with Atiku
with the PDP.
People were actually saying, why shouldn't be Peter Obi being the president? Because they were seeing his interviews were very intelligent, giving them facts, and people were like, this guy is very, very intelligent. Let him be the president. So all these talks actually made him to be fine. Okay, let me contest for presidential election under PDP, but he was sidelined. So he felt that, okay, I have a plan for Nigeria. Let me go to Labour Party. Now Peter Obi, Atiku, Kwankwaso, if they had merged, probably brought out Atiku. I'm at least 101% sure.
You're certain? A couple of Nigerians, we know before now, Atiku had been on the running on the ticket to actually become the president. But some Northerners do not trust him as a fact that he may be neutral or objective to rule. Do you think that if he had become the candidate in that merge, there's a tendency that
let me put it this way: if they had brought out any person among the three, either Peter Obi, Kwankwaso, or Atiku, they would have been able to unseat the ruling party. By now, we won't be talking about rerunning or something. If you calculate the election result of every of these three parties, the result of Peter Obi, Atiku, and Kwankwaso, it's more than the ruling party. That was the mistake they made. And until they realize that we need to drop down our selfish interest for the growth of Nigeria, for the development of Nigerians, nothing is going to go out. This alliance talk, this thing. So now, what the other person said, and Mr. Okoro said was that, okay, now, if they merge, who will drop their own policy? Peter Obi has his own structure. Atiku has their own structure. Kwankwaso has their own structure. Who will say, okay, now let me follow PDP's structure? And everybody was saying that, okay, PDP is a corrupt political party. Now, why are you aligning with a corrupt political party? So I think everybody should just sit down together and restructure, plan for probably 2027.
Okay.
If the tribunal didn't come to their own favor, they just plan for 2027 and merge and form a very good force. That's the only way to unseat the ruling party.
APC. All right, let me come to you now, Mr. Okoro. I would love to tinker with the idea of some sort of alliance. All right, I would love to play with that idea in my head. In a situation whereby that is, the talks goes, in a situation whereby they go on with talks of merging. Lots of people have said, like my colleague rightly said now, like Esther just said, what would happen to the supporters of the Labour Party? Do you think they will buy into this idea? Do you think the youth movement that the Labour Party was able to garner, the obedience movement, as they are rightly called, do you think they will want to align with an NNPP, for example? Do you think that these three heavyweights, all right, I'm talking about Peter Obi, Atiku Abubakar, and Kwankwaso, do you think who would want to, step aside for the other? Let's just play with this idea.
Okay. In fact, you have captured it perfectly, because in the first place, pre-elections, there were talks between the NPP and the Labour Party, but they didn't get the light of the day. Apparently because Peter Obi wasn't going to step down for Kwakwanso. Neither will Kwakwanso step down for Peter Obi. But you see, when Peter Obi was in the PDP, he had become more of an icon that people respected. And you recall, before the PDP primaries, youths had mobilized themselves and said, give us Obi. When they were chanting, give us Obi, give us Obi, they were not chanting it for the PDP. They were chanting it for Peter Obi.
The person,
that he should,
the individual. The individual,
yes,
right?
Because of the individual. Not because of PDP, but because of Peter Obi. And like I said, a major talk will now be in front view for 2027. If you put so many factors into place, by 2027, Article will be 80. Whether he will have that
strength,
that strength, you know, to keep campaigning, asking for votes from Nigerians to make him president. Kwakwanso will be 70 by then. And recall that Peter Obi came on the strength of the CCC. Capability, competence, and credibility. He is credible. He's credible. The obedient movement, like Wale said, they are going to, I don't see the possibility of members of the obedient movement falling behind a Kwakwanso or an article just because P2B has said, let us go and merge with these people. I rule out the possibility. It's very
all right, but what about the possibility of a working alliance? And the question is, this alliance talk, why did it not take place, you know, possibly either before the campaign or, you know, immediately after the elections? Because now speculations are on that. Maybe these political parties are on the belief that they do not have a strong case at the election petition tribunal. So it begs the question, these alliances, on what benefit will it be on each of these political parties? What way will it give them the offshoot or the spine? How would it help give them that formidable stance against the APC?
It will be, Esther, it wouldn't be proper for us to preempt the outcome of the tribunal.
No, I'm not talking about the tribunal. I'm talking about alliance. Tanko Yunusa said last night that there is a possibility of an alliance with these other political parties, not even a measure. But I'm asking you that if there was going to be an alliance to give them that strong force, that formidable might against the APC, why was this alliance not in the pipeline, in the pipework before possibly the tender at the election petition tribunal, or possibly before the elections? That's the question I'm asking.
The alliance wouldn't have been possible because they did not agree on who would be the arrowhead of the alliance. And in any case, if they have aligned, on what basis?
So on what basis? So on what basis now will this alliance work on behalf of these political parties? Now that they want to form an alliance, what's the benefit of the alliance?
The alliance is pre-2027.
Okay.
It's pre-2027, and if there's an alliance now that will be possible, it will be based on the fact that, look, if this thing goes this way in the tribunal, let us make. They have their permutations, they have their calculations. Let us merge forces and wrest power from the APC.
So doesn't this tell the supporters that they do not trust how the tribunal would go? Possibly it's not going to go in their favor for them to start considering an alliance now, when you have supporters who have prayed and are hell-bent on ensuring that each of their political party wins at the tribunal.
It's like opening your door or opening your door to wait until an armed robber comes before you attack the person. They have to plan ahead of time. There are permutations. There are what-if scenarios. What if this happens? What if that happens? Everybody is of the opinion, look, I'm going to get justice in the tribunal. But what if So you put plans in place, so that you are not caught off guard in the event that the judgment does not go in your favor. It's a good thing to plan. It's a good thing to talk. Like I said, they've all been talking. But the issue about talking is how to get at a consensus. How do we get a compromise to present a single front so that we're able to wrest power from these people? And like I said earlier, it will be a very tough call. It will be a very tough call in the sense that the obedient movement, they don't trust the PDP and Atiku. They don't trust Kwankwanso. And recall, there are even members of the PDP who are obedient members. Who are obedient. They might have said, okay, let's cascade these things at a certain level. I belong to the PDP. Like in my state, we had issues with people who said, okay, at the state level, at the governorship, I'm going to vote PDP. But at the federal level, I'm clearly for Peter Obi. And this thing was seen in almost all the states. So the possibility of the three parties coming together to say, okay, what if there's a rerun? And the alliance says, let's support one person. Who are they going to support? It takes us back to the issue of who will be the arrowhead of the alliance. And like I said, the only thing possible going forward is a merger, but that would clearly be for 2027.
All right. So now let me come to you now, Olamide. Let's look at the political parties in Nigeria. We have 18 of them. Okay. How would the political terrain be if some of these parties who are not so strong begin to merge? All right. Wouldn't that put the ruling party on their toes? Because then they might have a more formidable force if you have like a boot party merge with an ABGA or an AMPP or an NNPP. What do you think about such mergers that will now collapse 18 parties to maybe 6 or 7?
Most of these political parties are just there just to collect INEC money after every 4 years. They come every 4 years, they bring their presidential candidate, even though they know that there's nothing coming out of it. INEC give them money to run for election and everything. At the long run, they don't come and say they are forming a merger. They form alliance with probably the ruling party to support the ruling party for the presidential election. So that when it's time for the probably allocation of they get benefits from it. That has always been the play. Because when it's time for election, probably one political party that we've not heard of
for a long time
just come up and say, yes, I'm bringing out a presidential candidate. Obviously, they know that the presidential candidate is not even going to win anything, but the ruling party or the big political party needs them for support. Like, okay, their members will support the probably APC or PDP or Labour Party. Before Labour Party came in, it's always been PDP and APC. Now, Labour Party is coming in now. So I think we should, what INEC should do, or what all political parties should do, is going forward 2027, don't just waste resources. Let us come out with 3 or 4 strong political parties. Let them contest for elections. Now we should see, because I said it earlier on, politicians and political parties are all selfish.
What about, let's look at Atiku. Why, if only Atiku had thought of, because the reason now the PDP is going through its own internal crisis because of this backdoor grabbing power. That's what made Wike actually get angry with Atiku and Iyorchia Ayu. Now, we now have a situation where before Peter Obi left the PDP, he actually wanted to be the presidential candidate. And if that support wasn't given, what if in the long run, while the campaigns were being processed, Atiku decided to step down? Maybe there was a conversation for a merge. Are we certain that we would have had a Labour Party or whatever formation of a party be the one ruling now?
Please come again, the question. I really get that question.
If I said Atiku Abubakar, like you mentioned about selfish interest.
Okay.
So that's one of the reasons that the PDP is going through what it's going through.
No.
Atiku has always run on their ticket. No opportunity for any other person. So what if he had brought down his pride and tried to support his vice at the time, who actually wanted to be the arrowhead of the PDP.
Yeah.
We're saying now that if that was the case, and maybe there was a possibility of an alliance or a merger, we would have had a different political party on seat now.
See, if Atiku had stepped down at that time, and Peter Obi had been the presidential candidate of PDP, trust me, Labour Party nobody would know about Labour Party.
So you're saying PDP would have actually won?
PDP might have won.
Okay, so now the problem is not about the party itself, but it's about the individuals who are in charge of the party. Yeah. Because when you say the PDP is about corruption, it's not necessarily the party, it's the individual who will be the flag bearer of the party that people do not trust.
See, most people, when the presidential candidate comes out, they check the history, the political history of this political. They check when you were the vice president, when you were the senate president, where you were the local government chairman, where you were head of a board. What did you do? Was there any crime, any criminal act against you? If there is, they won't trust you. But they checked Peter Obi's record. They had really not seen any criminal record of him. So that's why everybody was supporting. Even if Peter Obi had gone to YPP,
okay,
that's the young people's political that nobody knows of. You will still get why people will be the talk of the town, because people are actually not voting for Labour Party like what Mr. Chukwuma said. They are voting for individual Peter Obi, individual. So if Peter Obi goes to any political party, they will still vote for him. He will still get the support. But why I'm saying is that APC has their internal crisis, PDP has their internal crisis, even Labour Party has their internal crisis. Talking of who is the chairman of the Labour Party. So everybody are just fighting for their own selfish interest. That is what everybody. So none of them is even fighting for the interest of the Nigerians. Like, okay, we want to move this country to a better place. We are all suffering. Things are not going on. So let us bring out one person that will try and do this. And let me tell you something about it. One person cannot actually rule the government.
That's true.
Because if Peter Obi comes on stage and says he's the president and still goes back and bring in all those people that we call criminals and thieves and put them in his cabinet, if we are still going to be in the same way.
All right then. Mr. Okoro, now with what is going on in the Labour Party, the scuffle or the struggle for who will be the chairman, Aburi, Apapa, struggling, what do you make of the lifeline of the party going forward? Because it seems like the party might be heading for the rocks.
Most is the issue of Labour Party. Issue of Labour Party is that the obedient people are not interested in the chairman of the Labour Party or not. They are interested in the visionary who is big.
Well, then the visionary needs a proper structure. The visionary would need a structure on which he will place the vision. If the structure, if the foundation is faulty, the Holy Book says, what would the righteous do?
the structure is the voting public. That's the structure. When PDP and APC said the Labour Party didn't have a structure, Abure was there, Apapa was there. People were not making reference to them. People were making reference to their vote. And that was the structure. So the issue of chairman, who is the chairman, the case is in court anyway, and I think it's about being settled. In the interim, Abure is acting, and people behind the obedient movement are also solidly behind Abure. So what they try to do is to play down on, because they know that it's actually infiltration. Okay. You know, they know that it means like fifth columnists within the Labour Party who are trying to distort, who are trying to torpedo, you know, the strength of the movement. So the emphasis is more on what we want to achieve. As a people, the obedient movement, they are hell-bent. They are hell-bent, if they have a chance, to vote again of getting power.
Now, let me quickly ask you this. Now, don't you think that the political enlightenment of Nigerians has gotten to the point where we should start seeing individuals come out without being affiliated to a party? Individuals come out to want to run for a political office. Don't you think we have matured to that point?
Yes, you are talking about independent candidates.
Yes.
For now, the Constitution doesn't allow that. But about the benefits, it is good, but the person has to be like somebody who is a mobilizer. A mobilizer, because when you talk about structure, you actually need a structure as a political party to win election.
But you just said
So
the
if the
voters are the
person is,
structure.
sorry?
You just said the voters are the structure. So if
Yeah,
the
they are
mobilizer comes on board
Sure.
and the voters
voters
stand
are
behind him,
voters
that's a structure.
behind him as the structure. When PDP and APC said that Labour didn't have a structure, what they were actually talking about was that they didn't have offices. They didn't have offices at the ward level, at the state level, that they have in the parliament, then who were going to work for them. You get the point? So when we talk about structure, we talk about the structure, the setup, and we also talk about the individual. Now, an independent candidate will also need people that will work for him, volunteers, volunteers, mobilizers that will help him to mobilize the masses. If you ask me on tinker with that idea, but it's going to be, with the level of our political development, it might be a little bit difficult, knowing our political culture, where we come from, the stakeholder issue that plays in our politics, where people listen to authorities in their village, people listen to the strong men and say, okay, this is the person that we should vote for. This is the person that we should look up to. And Labour Party, within 3 months, was able to mobilize that structure, because we had people who now left their political parties to say, okay, my people, this is the way to go. That's actually a structure, not just in terms of offices and equipment and officers in parliament or at the state or federal level. Yes, that's it for me.
All right then, thank you very much. Let's go on to another topic now. Up next on VOP this morning, it's yet another corruption case. As UK police charge former Petroleum Minister Diezani Alison Madueke with bribery details. Now, that's a conversation we'll have when we return. And I did see her working, and she was working with so much grace. Right? Oh, well, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll delve into that conversation.